A billionaire collapses on stage. His company is dying. Then his wife's silent son reveals a secret that changes everything. What happens next will leave you speechless. The microphone screeched across the packed auditorium at the San Francisco Tech Summit. 3,000 people stared at the stage where Derrick Montgomery stood frozen, his hand gripping the podium like it was the only thing keeping him upright. Sweat poured down his temples. His vision blurred. The teleprompter words swam together into meaningless shapes. "Mr. Montgomery," someone called from the front row. His knees buckled. The last thing he heard before hitting the floor was screaming and the thunder of footsteps rushing toward him. 6 hours later, Derrick opened his eyes in a hospital room that smelled like bleach and fear. A doctor with tired eyes stood over him, clipboard in hand. "Your blood pressure is through the roof. When's the last time you slept more than 3 hours?" Derrick couldn't remember. His company, Vault Tech Security, was dying. Every day, another $1 million vanished into a black hole nobody could explain. His AI security system, the thing that made him a billionaire at 32, was failing. Clients were leaving. Investors were panicking. His board wanted him gone. "You need to rest," the doctor said, "or you'll be dead before your next birthday." That's when Derrick saw her. Through the door window. A woman in blue custodian scrubs pushing a yellow mop bucket down the hallway. She moved with quiet purpose, invisible to the doctors and nurses rushing past. Her dark hair was pulled back tight. Her face showed no expression, but her eyes, those eyes looked like they carried the weight of 1,000 untold stories. Something about her made him forget, just for a second, that his entire world was crumbling. The next morning, Derrick found himself wandering the hospital halls instead of going home. He told himself he needed to walk, to clear his head. But really, he was looking for her. He found her on the 3rd floor, scrubbing a handrail with the same focused intensity someone might use to solve a calculus problem. "You missed a spot," he said, trying to sound casual. She looked up, not startled, just curious. "No, I didn't." He laughed. Actually laughed. He couldn't remember the last time that happened. "I'm Derrick. I know who you are. Your face is on every magazine." She went back to scrubbing. "I'm Trinity. You always this friendly. You always this annoying to people trying to work." They talked for 20 minutes. Then an hour. Then he came back the next day. And the day after that. Trinity didn't care about his money or his company or his problems. She talked about real things. Her son, Jamal, who was brilliant but angry at the world. Her double shifts to keep their apartment. Her dreams of going back to school someday, maybe becoming a nurse. 3 months later, Derrick proposed in that same hospital hallway. No fancy restaurant. No photographers. Just him and Trinity and a ring he'd carried in his pocket for 2 weeks, waiting for the right moment. She said yes. The internet exploded. Not with congratulations. With cruelty. "Billionaire Derrick Montgomery engaged to hospital janitor," the headline screamed. The comments were worse. Social media tore them apart. Memes flooded every platform. Talk show hosts made jokes. His board members sent concerned emails about optics and brand image. Investors called emergency meetings. At the rehearsal dinner, Derrick's oldest friend, Brandon, pulled him aside. "Man, are you sure about this? I mean, she seems nice, but she's got a teenage kid. A kid with problems. He got expelled last year for hacking the school's network. Do you really want that in your life right now? Especially with everything going on at the company." Derrick's jaw tightened. "Get out." "What?" "Get out of my wedding. Get out of my life." The wedding was small. Quiet. Trinity wore a simple white dress from a department store. Jamal stood beside her in a suit that didn't quite fit, his face a mask of teenage indifference. He was tall for 14, all sharp angles and suspicious eyes. He barely looked at Derrick during the ceremony. The board called a meeting 1 week after the honeymoon. 8 men in expensive suits sat around a glass table, their faces grave. Charles Webb, the lead investor, didn't waste time with pleasantries. "Derrick, we need to talk about your judgment. The company is in crisis. We're losing clients daily. And you're, what, playing house with a custodian and her delinquent kid. "Watch your mouth," Derrick said quietly. "We're invoking the morality clause. Your personal decisions are affecting company value. The stock dropped 12% after your wedding announcement. Our clients don't trust you anymore. They think you've lost focus. So what are you saying? We're voting you out. Effective immediately." Derrick stood up so fast his chair flew backward. "You can't do this." "We just did. Security will escort you out." At home, Trinity was folding laundry in their new house, the mansion Derrick had insisted she deserved. Her hands moved mechanically, but her eyes were red. She'd seen the news. Everyone had. "I'm so sorry," she whispered when he walked in. "This is all my fault. If you hadn't married me, if you hadn't taken on me and Jamal." "Don't." Derrick pulled her close. "Don't ever say that." But the damage was done. The doubt was planted. Trinity pulled away from him, inch by inch, day by day. She started taking extra shifts at the hospital even though she didn't need the money anymore. Anything to escape the house, the cameras, the reporters who followed her asking if she felt guilty for ruining his life. Jamal stayed locked in his room. The kid barely spoke 10 words a day. He'd come out for meals, eat in silence, then disappear again. Derrick tried everything. Video games, basketball tickets, expensive computers. Nothing worked. The boy was a ghost in his own home. Meanwhile, Vault-Tec was hemorrhaging money faster than anyone predicted. The AI security system was failing in ways that made no sense. Clients' data was somehow vulnerable, but the system showed no breaches. No errors. No explanations. The tech team worked around the clock. They brought in outside experts. Nothing helped. Then came the email. 3 a.m. on a Tuesday. Derrick was at his home office, staring at financial reports that made him want to vomit, when his computer screen went black. Red text appeared, letter by letter, like something from a horror movie. "You don't know what's coming. But I do. The walls are thinner than you think." The screen flickered. Then normal again. Derrick's hands shook as he called his security team. They found nothing. No trace of intrusion. No evidence of a hack. The email didn't exist in any server log. Like it never happened. Except it did. Derrick knew it did. He walked past Jamal's room on the way to bed. Light spilled from under the door. The faint clicking of a keyboard. That kid was always on his computer, doing who knows what. Probably playing games or watching videos. Wasting his life like everyone said he would. Derrick didn't knock. He was too tired. Too defeated. Too scared to face whatever was coming next. He should have knocked. If this story is touching your heart, please hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. Your support helps us share these powerful stories with people who need to hear them. Thank you for being part of our community. The call came at 6 a.m. on Friday. Derrick's phone vibrated so hard it fell off the nightstand. He grabbed it, still half asleep. It was Helen Park, Vault-Tec's head of security. Her voice cracked with panic. "Derrick, we've been hit. Ransomware. They're demanding $50 million or they release everything. Client data, proprietary code, everything. We have 72 hours. Derrick was already pulling on clothes. "How bad?" "FBI's here. It's bad. Really bad." The Vault-Tec headquarters looked like a war zone. FBI agents filled the conference rooms. Laptops everywhere. People shouting into phones. Helen met him at the door, her face gray. "They got past everything. Every firewall, every protocol. It's like they had a map of our entire system." "That's impossible." "I know. But they did it." For 3 days, the best cybersecurity experts in the country tried to crack the attack. They traced the ransomware to 17 different countries. Dead ends everywhere. The hacker was a ghost. No patterns. No mistakes. Just a countdown timer on every company computer showing how much time remained before everything went public. Derrick didn't go home. He slept on the office couch, showered in the executive bathroom, lived on cold coffee and granola bars. Trinity called 8 times. He ignored every call. He couldn't face her. Couldn't face the reality that he was about to lose everything and drag her down with him. On the second night, at 2 a.m., Derrick stood in the server room staring at screens full of code he didn't understand anymore. He'd built this company from nothing. Now someone was tearing it apart and he couldn't stop them. He pressed his forehead against the cold wall and let himself cry for the first time since his mother died. "You're looking in the wrong place." Derrick spun around. Jamal stood in the doorway, hands in his hoodie pockets, face expressionless. "What are you doing here? How did you even get in?" "Mom's worried about you. She sent me." The kid walked past him, studying the screens. "Your team's chasing shadows. The ransomware's just noise. A distraction." "Jamal, I don't have time for this. Go home. There's a backdoor in your system. Has been for 8 months. The ransomware guy didn't put it there. Someone else did. Someone who's been stealing data in tiny pieces so you wouldn't notice." Derrick's blood went cold. "How do you know that?" Jamal pulled out his phone, tapped it a few times, and suddenly the screens changed. Lines of code Derrick had never seen before scrolled past. "Because I've been watching them. I found the backdoor 6 months ago. I've been tracking every move they made." The room tilted. "You've been inside our system? You hacked my company." "I didn't hack anything. I just looked. And I saw things your team missed." Jamal's voice stayed flat, but his hands trembled slightly. The backdoor was installed by someone with admin access. Someone who works here. They've been selling your client data for months. The ransomware guy is just an opportunist who found the same backdoor. "Why didn't you tell me?" For the first time, Jamal's mask cracked. His jaw tightened. His eyes went glossy. "Because nobody listens to me. Nobody ever listens. My teachers didn't listen when I told them their network was vulnerable. They expelled me instead. My mom's boyfriends before you didn't listen. They said I was a problem, a burden, a mistake. Why would you be different?" The words hit Derrick like bullets. "Jamal, I tried to tell you. 3 times. I left notes on your desk. Anonymous emails. You ignored them. Everyone always ignores me. So I just started fixing things myself. Closing holes in your security. Blocking attacks before they happened. I stopped 14 breaches in the last 6 months. By myself. While you and your team of experts couldn't figure out why nothing was getting through." Derrick couldn't breathe. This kid, this angry, invisible kid he'd barely spoken to, had been protecting his company for months, while Derrick was too busy feeling sorry for himself to notice. "Show me. Show me everything." Jamal's fingers flew across his phone. Screen after screen filled with evidence. Transaction logs. Data transfers. Communication records. Everything pointed to one person. Brandon Mitchell. Derrick's former best friend. The one he'd kicked out of the wedding. The one who'd been selling Vault-Tec secrets to competitors for almost a year. "He's been planning this since before you got married," Jamal said quietly. "He wanted to destroy you. The ransomware's his final move. He paid some hacker in Romania to do it, but he's the one who gave them access." Derrick's hands became fists. "Can you stop it? Can you find them?" "Already did. The Romanian hacker's name is Adrian Volkov. He's routing everything through servers in Iceland, but he's physically in Prague. I've got his location down to a 3-block radius." Jamal pulled up a map on the screen. "And Brandon's watching everything from his apartment in Marina District. He thinks he's untraceable. He's not." Helen Park appeared in the doorway with 4 FBI agents. "Derrick, we need to—" "Who is this?" "This is my son," Derrick said, and watched Jamal's head snap up, eyes wide. "And he just solved your case. Get me Agent Rodriguez. Now." The next 6 hours moved like a dream. Jamal sat at a terminal with FBI cyber specialists on both sides, walking them through everything. His voice stayed calm, professional, explaining things in ways even the agents could understand. They traced the money, found the evidence, built an airtight case. FBI teams in Prague and San Francisco moved simultaneously. They arrested Adrian Volkov coming out of a coffee shop. They arrested Brandon in his apartment, his laptop open to Vaulteca's stolen files. The ransomware evaporated. The countdown stopped. Every stolen file was recovered. Dawn light poured through the windows when it was over. The FBI agents shook Jamal's hand, one by one. "Son, have you ever thought about a career in cybersecurity?" Agent Rodriguez asked. Jamal just shrugged, but Derrick saw the ghost of a smile. Trinity arrived an hour later. She ran into the building, still in her hospital scrubs, eyes wild with worry. "Derrick, I came as soon as I heard, I thought—" She stopped when she saw Jamal sitting at a computer surrounded by FBI agents and Vaultec executives. "What's happening?" Derrick pulled her close. "Our son just saved my company." Trinity looked at Jamal, then back at Derrick. "Our son?" "Yeah." Derrick walked over to Jamal, who was shutting down the terminal, trying to disappear again into his hoodie. "Hey, look at me." Jamal looked up, and for the first time, Derrick saw the scared kid hiding behind the anger. The boy who'd been abandoned and ignored and told he was worthless his whole life. "I'm sorry," Derrick said, his voice breaking. "I'm sorry I didn't listen. I'm sorry I didn't see you. I'm sorry I let you think you didn't matter." He pulled Jamal into a hug, and the kid's body went rigid, then slowly melted. His shoulders shook. 14 years of being invisible, finally seen. Trinity wrapped her arms around both of them, crying into Jamal's hair. The press conference happened at noon. Every major news outlet showed up. The same reporters who'd mocked Derrick's marriage now packed the room, cameras rolling. Charles Webb and the board members sat in the front row, their faces carefully neutral. Derrick stood at the podium with Trinity on one side and Jamal on the other. 3 months ago, I married the love of my life. The media called it a mistake. My board called it poor judgment. My investors called it a liability. They said I was throwing my life away on a custodian and her problem child. He paused, letting the words hang. They were wrong about everything. He gestured to Jamal. This young man, who was expelled from school for having skills nobody wanted to understand, who was labeled a problem and a burden, who everyone dismissed, just saved Vaultec from the biggest cyberattack in our history. He did what a team of experts couldn't do. He solved what I couldn't solve. And he did it because he's brilliant, not despite being who he is, but because of it. The room erupted with questions. Derrick ignored them all. Effective today, Jamal Montgomery, my son, is Vaulteca's youngest security consultant. He'll work with our team to rebuild our systems stronger than ever. And to everyone who doubted my family, who mocked my wife, who wrote us off, I have just one thing to say. Watch us. Charles Webb stood up. The room went silent. He walked to the podium, and for a moment, Derrick thought another fight was coming. Instead, Webb extended his hand. I owe you an apology. All of us do. We were wrong. About everything. That night, Derrick stood in Jamal's room, watching the kid organize his new work laptop. You know you don't have to do this, right? The job. If it's too much pressure. I want to, Jamal said quietly. For the first time in my life, someone's asking me to do something instead of telling me I can't. Jamal, I need to ask you something. Why did you keep protecting the company even after I ignored your warnings? You could have just let it burn. Jamal was quiet for a long time. Finally he spoke, his voice barely a whisper. Because my mom loves you. And she deserves to be happy. She's never been happy before. I couldn't let someone take that away from her. Even if you didn't care about me, I cared about her. Derrick sat down on the bed, tears streaming down his face. I care about you. God, Jamal, I care so much. I just didn't know how to show it. I was so scared of losing everything that I couldn't see what I already had. Jamal nodded slowly. I've been scared my whole life. Scared nobody would want me. Scared I'd mess up anything good that came to us. Scared you'd leave us like everyone else. I'm not leaving. Ever. You're stuck with me. For the first time, Jamal smiled. Really smiled. That's what I was hoping you'd say. Downstairs, Trinity sat at the kitchen table, staring at her phone. The internet had turned. The same people who'd torn them apart now celebrated them. The headlines read, "Genius Teen Saves Billion-Dollar Company," and "From Custodian to America's Most Admired Family." Trinity didn't care about any of it. She just wanted her family to be okay. Derrick found her there, pulled her into his arms. "We made it." "Barely," she whispered. "Yeah, barely. But we're still here." 6 months later, Jamal stood on stage at a tech conference, the youngest speaker in the event's history. He wore a suit that actually fit this time. His voice didn't shake. He talked about security, about seeing what others miss, about the importance of listening to voices that get ignored. In the audience, Trinity held Derrick's hand and cried. Happy tears this time. After the presentation, a girl about Jamal's age approached him nervously. "That was amazing. I've been teaching myself coding, but my school says I should focus on normal stuff. How did you keep going when nobody believed in you?" Jamal thought about it. "I found one person who did. That's all it takes. Just one." He looked at Derrick and Trinity in the crowd. His parents. His family. The people who saw him when he was invisible. The people who loved him when he thought he was unlovable. And for the first time in his life, Jamal Montgomery knew exactly where he belonged. Thank you for watching until the end. If this story moved you, please subscribe and let us know in the comments where you're watching from. Your support means the world to us, and we can't wait to share more inspiring stories with you.